friends. We're back in the messy office in Chicago. Why do I have this hat on? Well, I'm in Chicago and my apartment heat is not on. High fives, high fives, high fives, high fives. Welcome back. It's freezing and you have to wear a hat inside. Welcome back. Oh, you guys, I'm a little delirious today. I think the traveling and the time changes and the schedule being off has made me a little wah, 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 wah. So get ready for that this morning. Glad to see your faces in this little robot camera. It is Veda video every day, day 10, April 10th. We're gonna get this writing prompt going at the end. Quick little chats, inspiration, challenges, joys. Put them down below. What have you been dealing with? I know day 10, we're not quite halfway there. So usually at this point in time, I get a little like blah. But I think because of the traveling and because I have to be accountable with you guys, I'm still pushing through. So for example, I haven't been really loving my writing the last 2 days, but the point is not to love it. The point is just to get it done. And then after the challenge, maybe go back and see what goodies I can pull. So if you're having the same situation of like, I'm doing it because I said I would and Kelsie told me to, but I'm not liking it, you're not alone, okay? I feel like week 2 in a 4-week challenge is usually when I get like, I guess sophomore-itis, senioritis. It happens, I think, with the stand-up classes I teach as well. It's like level 1 for people who have never done stand-up. After they're done, they're like, I'm gonna take over the world. And level 2, you're like, oh, this again. So I think that's where I am, but I'm sticking to it. Also, yesterday, I wanted to give a positive writing prompt. So if you haven't checked out that video, go back to day 9. And the writing prompt was like, if you were the executive director of a charitable organization, what are the 3 like topics that you would choose for your organization? And I wanted to do that prompt because I knew I would be flying and I didn't want to be weird or anxious. I wanted to be really positive in my writing. Turns out I was sitting next to the biggest man spreader, not Jason, a stranger, ever. And even my writing, I just was so angry on the plane yesterday, you guys. I kept like subtly, when I should have just not subtly, I should have been like, dude, move your ass. But I had to be stuck with him for 5 hours. Oh my gosh. You're right. I'm not hiding in a bathroom, so now I can be all over the place. There's nobody here sleeping, so I can be real loud. Anyway, so I tried to make my writing positive yesterday, but sometimes your environment makes you angry and then you write about your anger. So let's talk about emotion today and how emotion and personal writing can sometimes take over. Should you control it? Should you just let it out? Like, what are your thoughts? I know that also Linda P, aka my mom, wrote a comment in one of the videos. And by the way, I know I'm behind on responding to your comments. I've got like 4, because I'm big time, that I will respond to you today. Anyway, Linda said something about not being able, being kind of a bummer. Like when she's writing about her personal experiences, that it's kind of depressing her. And I think that's okay, because here's the thing, depending on how you are outside in the world, sometimes you're not connecting to those bummer thoughts. And that's what writing and journaling is all about. Now, make sure that it's not a trigger and then you just go into a hole, because, depression is real. I think, that's a real thing. And of course, so I don't want you to, go somewhere where you can't pull yourself out, but I also think it's really important to touch on emotions, because that's what makes writing and stand-up and storytelling and performance and any kind of creative things. When you find that point of view, it's not always gonna be cheery and sunshine. And I know that I'm here being like, blah, in the morning, and the persona that I give out into the world, I am optimistic and positive, but sometimes the writing is very dark. And don't fight it, unless it's a trigger for you, unless you know that like, oh, this is something that I'm not ready to deal with. Go into the darkness and see what you can find, because sometimes I have found in my past, I didn't go to therapy until I was older in life, but I found that the writing, actually going down into it, did raise me back up, not only in my personal life, but in my writing and my artistry, if we're calling stand-up artistry, which I am as well. So emotions are tricky. Yesterday I was super angry because of the situation with the man-spreading plain guy. And so my writing did reflect that. I think that's what drafting process is for. If you don't want it to be this emotion, or if it doesn't fit, you can morph and change and create something out of that. But I don't think deny your emotions. Don't do it, especially with personal essay. That's the whole point, is to see how you feel about it. You know, now if you're like, every time I journal, I'm a real bummer, maybe there's something you're avoiding. That's what I found. Like, I continue to used to write about the same things over and over. Sometimes I still do. And you just pierce through that eventually. So I'd say just keep with it. Don't try to fight it. Delve in. The other trick that I do is sometimes, I mean, my writing is pretty dark sometimes. I then do try to make a point to pull myself out, because sometimes I just get bored of writing bummer things. So I'm like, write about something that, like Big Bird, or I usually write about cartoons when I'm feeling a little sad pants, because it usually sparks something joyful and fun. So I hope that helps Linda P. and anybody else out there. Yeah, I feel like emotions in writing can be tricky. A lot of people, especially when it comes to personal essay, especially when it comes to vulnerability, I think they actually choose not to write because they don't want to go there, Or the other thing that I found so fascinating, like reading about writing, a lot of people don't write because they can't spell. Isn't that so interesting? They're like, I don't want to be judged even in the privacy of my own journal. And that's never stopped me, because I cannot spell for crap, my friends. So whatever that perfectionism or that like shame, whether it's emotion, whether it's feeling stupid, I feel like no one is ever going to see these things. It's all yours. And even if it's all yours and you're sad, if it's all yours and it's spelled crazy and there's arrows everywhere and you're just like, I write spelled wrong, ? All over the place. Who cares? It's just getting these things out onto paper so that you can create something with them. And on that note, creating something where the world can see it is really scary. So for those of you who might just be watching now, I am in Chicago, but all weekend long, if you go check out those other Vedas when I'm whispering in the toilet, I was in LA, and Jason, Daryl Moon, myself, and then Takara wrote one episode with us, co-wrote it. We wrote something together, so we had something in our brains, and we all collaborated, and then Jason helped edit and direct. We had a huge crew and cast. Something that comes from these journals can then be out in the world where other people are working on it, and then it was seen at the Universal Studio Cinema, AMC Cinema. So our writing was seen in the world, and that's amazing. Also really vulnerable, sitting in a dark theater with total strangers and being like, oh man, I hope they laugh. Oh man, I hope they get it. Oh man, I do. And then when they do, it feels so good. So I think there's this vulnerability, this like scariness with writing. It doesn't stop with your journal. It continues on. And I feel like that balance is tricky, because I gotta tell you, emotions is so me. If I'm not happy and positive, I know, I hear you. I really do. It's tricky. And I would challenge you, if you don't write when you're feeling gross or not positive, I would challenge you to try it. On the other spectrum too, if you only write when you're like macabre and feeling emo and like, I feel so bad, I would also try to write when you're feeling joyful. See how emotion connects to your writing and see what happens with the product. Because I have to tell you, I often write when I feel lost. When I feel like I'm at a crossroads, or if I'm foggy, that's when I get into like my personal essay stuff. And I should write when I'm not lost. I should like, oh, I got this. Let's see if I can write. So that's a good reminder. Thanks so much. What else am I trying to say here? Oh yeah, vulnerability. All I'm just saying is like, push through it if you can, but it is so hard. And I wanted to talk about my reflection. I know this is going a little bit long, but I did say in the last video that I would talk about the LA trip. And I have to say, I'm still kind of processing it. It was really exciting. We met so many other amazing filmmakers from all over the place. We've met people from Jersey, Australia, Germany, LA, Chicago, New York. I mean, just blah, it was amazing. And a lot of them are going through the same challenges that we are, which is really refreshing. I feel like the other thing the negative part of it is the comparison game. You always, which is really tricky, and I've talked about this before, so I won't go into it. And I think LA is a town that manifests that, is like, I'm not good enough, I'm not getting through, you know, the VIP rope, nobody's coming here, blah, blah, blah. Like that Facebook depression is real in that town. And I remember Emma Thompson, who's amazing and like award-winning, talented British actress, like out of control. I remember her seeing her on the Graham Norton show. I think it was the Graham Norton show, talk show. And she was like, LA makes you feel like you're nothing. And that's how it's set up. There's always a velvet rope you can't get in. She said, there's always a VIP room that you're not getting in. So there is a little bit of that. Now, I'm not saying I didn't like LA. I thought it was real fun. I was only there for 4 days. But there was this extra anxiety of like, you know, am I enough in this like massive town? So I'm really glad to be back in Chicago. Learned a lot. Really liked the folks at the web series. Was very grateful to be invited and also to see something that, you know, we wrote on the screen. So that was amazing. Speaking of writing, because now I gotta write more. That's the other thing about writing. Once it's done, there's an empty page. Oh no. So let's get into this here. Now, I chose this one because I think it does tap into emotions. When do we get to see your video? Oh, Janet Cain, hello, great question. So the open mic, I'll put a link to it. Actually, I think it's, where is it? Here? Shoot, I'm losing my mind. I haven't done YouTube in a while. I'll put a link to it. So the open mic is, if you're on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist with it. So if you go to my main channel, it's like the 3rd one down. You can see the whole series there. And I'll also put a card here. And there's also a link in the description. So Janet, you can see there's so many links. It's just called the Open Mic Series. It's in the description below. You can binge on all 10 episodes. They're really fast episodes. You can watch them all in a day. They're like, you know, 4 to 8 minutes long each. Cool. And Janet, yeah, Daryl Moon, you know him. He's a comedian. All right. So thanks, Janet Cain, for reminding me to promote my own show. I'm such a doofus. So for this writing prompt right now, I will write it in the description box. I think it can go either way as far as emotions. So I think you could take it positive, you could take it negative, or you could kind of swirl them both together. That's why I chose this one. So let's do this. Ready? For the longest time, you didn't realize you were doing it wrong. Describe what it was and how you learned of your mistake. I think there's a typo here. How you learn from your mistake, I think is what they're trying to say. So I'll write it down, but I'll say it again. For the longest time, you didn't realize you were doing it wrong. Describe what it was and how you learned from your mistake. Cool? So again, I would challenge everybody not to be afraid of the dark side, or if you're always writing in the dark side, don't be afraid of the light, or to be a Jedi rebel or whatever your analogy is. Cool? So, hey, longer video, it's 8:12. I want a little over 10 minutes, no big deal. I'm back in action. I'm super glad to be back in Chicago, even though it's cold right now. And yeah, tonight I'm real excited. I'm gonna do Zanies. They're doing a benefit show for the UN, and it's a very female, feminist focused event. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, you wanna go to Zanies Old Town tonight, I'm gonna be there for a comedy show with other rad ladies. Then we're going to be doing a panel later tonight as well. In April, I've got a ton of shows coming up too. Like we have a big Kate's show at the Improv. So if you're in Schaumburg, come to see that. It's going to be super duper fun. Lineup is amazing. Okay, now I'm just rambling on because I miss talking out loud. Yeah. And it's Tuesday, so guess what? Tomorrow, back here at 8 a.m., new writing prompt. Excited for that. Also, Wednesdays, I have 2 videos coming out, so I think it's another vlog. So get ready for that action. And anybody who is into my vlogs, let me know if you watch those vlogs or if you're more into writing and or show and tell videos, because I have a lot of vlogs coming up. I did vlog in LA, so hopefully that turns out well. Be on the lookout for that bad boy. All right, dudes, have a super rad Tuesday. I hope your to-do list gets crushed, or if you're feeling a little like, remember it's okay. I read this thing the other day that said, like, being productive does not mean you're loved. That's a terrible way to redo that quote. But it was basically saying you don't have to always do to feel like you're worth something. I struggle with that. I always feel like you gotta earn that love, you gotta earn it. But sometimes take a chill is all I'm saying. Everybody, let's chill together, but also get our writing done. All right, I'm rambling on. I'm going to have some breakfast and get to this. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Thanks for commenting and being on here live. Love your faces. Goodbye. Oh, I can't stop talking. Stop it.